What's up, folks? I'm Chris, your MLB writer here at OccupyFantasy.com, here with a look at the main slates on Wednesday, May 25th. We have two different size slates tonight. We have a 7-game main slate on FanDuel, includes 2 games that lock at 6:40 p.m. Eastern, and then we have a 5-game main slate on DraftKings. Now, each of these slates may end up even smaller, because as you see on the screen here, I have our Occupy Fantasy weather model pulled up, and in our weather model, we have 4 games locked in with a 100% chance of rain today, one of them in the early window, one with an 88% chance of rain. There could really be some rainouts tonight that actually kind of ruin all of the fun across Major League Baseball. Boston at the White Sox, the Cubs at the Reds, the Guardians at the Astros, and the Phillies at the Braves are the games that we need to worry about this evening. So just keep that in mind as an overarching thing as we walk through the rest of the slate this evening. I'm going to look at the FanDuel main slate because we have a few more options here. Lucas Giolito facing the Boston Red Sox is the clear top pitcher tonight. 16.2 OF index, projects for 1.26 strikeouts per inning pitched. He doesn't allow an elite weighted on base average to hitters from either side of the plate, but where he can get beaten is in the power department, specifically from right-handed hitters. Now, the problem that he will have is very similar to the one that his teammate Dylan Cease had last night. The Red Sox are actually swinging hot bats right now. I don't think they're going to score 16 runs again, but Giolito certainly could be in trouble if Boston is still riding the wave from how successful they were yesterday evening. His StatCast data looks a little bit more acceptable than Cease's last night, so I actually think Lucas Giolito is probably a fine play this evening as a minus 175 moneyline favorite against the Red Sox. Now, behind Giolito, we have a really cheap secondary option for your second starting pitcher on DraftKings Yahoo, especially. JP Sears with the New York Yankees. Sears making his first start of the season for the Yankees here. Sees just $5,500 on DraftKings, $6,000 over on FanDuel. A minus 210 moneyline favorite. Low opposing team total from the Orioles this evening. Decent 1.1 strikeout per inning pitch projection. No StatCast data. So who is this guy? Sears has been pitching at AAA for the Yankees for a little while, and he's been pitching very well. I'm going to actually pull up this blog from Sports Illustrated's affiliated Yankees blog, and the writer Gary Phillips here put this article up yesterday about Sears starting today, being called up. Sears with 21.2 innings in Scranton Wilkes-Barre AAA for the Yankees, 30 strikeouts. That's good for almost 1.4 strikeouts per innings pitched. Not really allowing any runs, not really allowing anybody on base. That's what these two numbers mean here. That's very, very good. We don't think he's going to be this efficient in Major League Baseball to begin his career as a starter tonight, to say. But we do think he's got a good shot at being one of the better pitchers on this slate, especially one of the better, fantasy point per dollar, if you're into that kind of thing, pitchers on this slate. So gotta like JP Sears as a secondary pitcher option against the Orioles, one of the easier lineups for someone to pitch against right now in Major League Baseball. Christian Javier with the Astros. Talked about him last week. He's got a much tougher matchup tonight against the Guardians than he had last week against the Rangers. The Guardians actually strike out at the lowest rate as a club overall over the last 30 days. Luis Castillo, there is a weather issue in that area with the Reds and the Cubs tonight, but we actually think he's a decent play on FanDuel, only on the FanDuel main slate. Minus 129, moneyline favorite, not the biggest number, but Castillo with an excellent 1.25 strikeouts per inning pitch projection for us on this slate. Drew Rasmussen with the Rays. We saw Shane McClanahan crush against the Marlins last night. We see a similar opportunity for Rasmussen. We see 1.01 strikeouts per innings pitched as a potential solid projection for him this evening. That's an upgrade from what he typically does. He's not typically a high strikeout pitcher. We just think the opportunity against the Marlins is strong there on FanDuel. I don't think I would play Rasmussen over Castillo if I was considering one of these two guys. DraftKings side. Charlie Morton would be the next most obvious name, I guess. He's reasonably priced, decent favorite, moneyline movement in his favor, reasonable opposing team total, decent StatCast performance lately over the last couple of weeks. This low 0.94 strikeout projection per inning tonight for Morton is interesting to me because the Phillies actually are striking out at a slightly above average rate. Morton averages about 1.1 strikeouts per innings pitched over the last year or so of his outings. So we must be looking at a split here that I haven't looked at, where the Phillies are actually really good at avoiding the strikeout against right-handed pitchers like Morton. That must be what our model is reading here. Also weather here, so got to keep that in mind. Reed Detmers facing the Rangers is another pitcher that I would be interested in on this slate just because he's a decent favorite, and Texas has actually been one of the easier lineups for pitchers to pitch against in recent weeks. It's a short slate. I could talk about the rest of the pitching, or we could move over to the hitters and who we want to play in that side of our lineups this evening. We do like to look at the lowest ranked pitchers in our model as a starting point, as a place to maybe start looking for lineups that we're going to target tonight. I would suspect that our model likes White Sox, Astros, and Yankees stacks tonight, given that these three pitchers, Tyler Wells, Cal Quantrill, and Rich Hill, are the lowest ranked pitchers in our model. We look at the StatCast numbers. This kind of second to last pitcher here has the most attractive resume out of the bottom tier to target with hitters, and that would be Cal Quantrill facing the Astros. So let's see what the Stacks dashboard thinks here early in the day. Surprisingly low on the Astros, even though betting markets aren't. The Astros have the third highest implied team total on this main slate. The Yankees have the highest. The Angels have the second highest. However, for our stacks, we like the White Sox, the Rangers, and the Angels. So we're a little lower on our end on the teams that we think the field will be on tonight, the Yankees and the Astros. That gives us an opportunity for a point of differentiation with our lineups this evening. That's encouraging. The thing that's not encouraging is the weather situation. So the White Sox having some weather to deal with, that's something you're going to have to monitor up until lock. I have avoided building with the White Sox today at this point for this video for that reason. The Rangers and the Angels head-to-head. This is a really strong game on both sides to play hitters from. Detmers obviously had the no-hitter a couple weeks back that everybody probably remembers if they've been following baseball closely. He still is fairly easy to hit against in the power department. Gives up a pretty high isolated slugging to hitters from both sides of the plate. And then we have Glenn Otto facing the Angels. Otto is a probably the easiest pitcher to target with hitters tonight. Allows elite contact to hitters from both sides of the plate. So I suspect that the Angels will be very popular. So the Angels have the second highest implied team total tonight at 5.19 runs. They have the second highest weighted on base average, which again is the metric that we project as the second safest behind our OF index metric for ranking hitters in terms of correlation with actual fantasy point production every single night. So I'm actually going to go into this slate looking to try and build an Angel stack on this modestly sized slate that should potentially soon become a small slate with weather implications. I have Charlie Morton plugged in here for now. I have 5 Angel hitters that I like this evening. I do think going with JP Sears is probably pretty safe. You got a lot of dollars left here. If you like Giolito, you certainly have the ability to do that. You just got to watch the weather with him. So for now, I kind of have mentally locked in Sears, and I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with my second pitcher depending on this weather situation. I like Giolito if that game is going to play. Over on FanDuel, I actually have Luis Castillo plugged in with some of my favorite Los Angeles Angels hitters. If there's rain there in Cincinnati that it has to push us off of Castillo, we can certainly go. We can certainly play JP Sears at $6,000 and have plenty of dollars remaining, $38.25 per player. We could get all the way up to Giolito here and still have $27.50 per player. So it really doesn't matter who we choose at pitcher if we're going to play the slate this way. We just want to make sure they're going to be eligible to score fantasy points for us tonight, depending on how the weather shakes out this evening. Let's talk about this Angel stack a little bit further. Just as I suspected, Trout, Walsh, Ohtani, very strong options in our model this evening. You see Anthony Rendon in here. Keep an eye on this situation. Rendon has missed a couple of days in a row, and Matt Duffy has actually played third base for the Angels. That's why you saw him slotted into a couple of my lineups. If Rendon misses again, we have a cheap Matt Duffy. Obviously, I will like that, but I have no problem with still playing the Angels and considering some of these other cheap hitters here in the lineup, or Rendon himself if he plays, to make that work if we want to stack the Angels this evening. So that is going to do it for this video. Watch the weather, particularly on the DraftKings main slate. We might lose 2 of the more important games. The Phillies and the Braves, and the Red Sox and the White Sox have a lot of rain on the docket tonight this evening. Appreciate you watching. As usual, if you want to talk about MLB DFS up until lock, you can consider joining our Discord. There's a link to do so below the description of every video. We will post our daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com about an hour before the lock of the FanDuel main slate tonight. So look for that about 5:30 p.m. Eastern at the absolute latest. And we will be back tomorrow to talk to you about more MLB DFS.